HTC's roadmap leaks, plus the Pocket-Lint Awards, see who took home the glory, and Nokia is actually going to close their big shop in London. All that with the guys from Pocket-Lint, Dan Sung and Duncan Geere. Try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Visit gotomeeting.com/techpodcasts. Last year, I guess still this year, 2009, I'm already thinking in 2010, was definitely the year of the smartphone, with a lot of competitors to the iPhone, the Droid, the Palm Pre, among so many others. Next year, we're looking to see another big smartphone bonanza, you could say. Now, Duncan, I know you're totally into smartphones. We've seen HTC's 2010 roadmap leak. Are there any sort of highlights for you in this set of devices?
Well, definitely, it's a pretty diverse set of phones, but there was one in particular that stood out for me, which is the Bravo, which is listed in the sort of performance category. Now this has got a great big 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor. It's got a huge, great big 3.7-inch OLED screen. It comes with a 16 gig micro SD card. It really seems like they're throwing the kitchen sink at this one.
Nice. So this is I mean, there's a couple phones in here. Is it sort of the stuff that we would expect from HTC? I mean, just general smartphones, or are there any other surprises in there?
Well, I think there's definitely a lot of what you'd expect from HTC. So there's 3 Windows mobile devices that look, pretty okay. And then there's a whole clutch. There's 5 different Android ones as well. There's the Bravo I mentioned before. There's the Buzz, the Tide, the Legend, and the Salsa. Gotta love HTC's code names.
Love them. So those, but when they actually come out, they'll probably have different names, since HTC's all about code naming things and then flipping it on us. I don't know, Dan, anything catch your eye for these phones?
Well, obviously the fact that the Bravo looks to be HD, which is really good, and have a beautiful screen on it. But I quite like the way that they were labelled into categories, so that you had that as the performance, but then the HTC Legend, which is basically just an upgrade of the Hero, it seems, that's been sort of relegated to a lifestyle category. So I'm sure people with their HTC Hero now feeling very high-tech aren't too happy about that. That'll be interesting. Also, the Windows Mobile ones, they're productivity. So I think they've labelled that pretty clearly what they think about it.
Well, to me, the Windows Mobile is the opposite of productivity, but I guess we'll just leave HTC to choose that. Now, yesterday was a big day for you guys over at Pocket-Lint. You had the Pocket-Lint Awards, which is an actual award show as well. This isn't just bits and bytes here. Dan, give me some highlights of the award show, and then we'll talk about actually individual awards.
I mean, it was interesting for us because, obviously there was a lot of judges out there. We had over 50 judges all over the world. Plus we had the public vote as well. So we really didn't know. It didn't have a lot to do with us. So I was standing there really hoping my favourites would win, which largely I think they didn't. Apart from Spotify winning Product of the Year, which I think was that was the right decision, the most right decision of the whole evening. But for me, I think a lot of people have issues with it, with what I've got to say about it. But I think I was a bit disappointed with the MacBook Pro 13-inch winning the best laptop, because I just thought, well, it's just a laptop, and it was up against things that were really quite innovative, and that was just a bit of a smaller version of one of their others. But there were plenty of other good things as well, I think, there. Like, obviously, the Hero won Best Mobile, which is well-deserved. But it was just a really good, fun evening. I'm sure Duncan's got some other opinions on laptops and all sorts from me, but I thought it was a pretty good laugh.
Yeah, what about you, Duncan? I mean, any highlights for gadgets that won or lost, or I don't know. I guess I'm kind of in agreement with the MacBook Pro. Like, it's just a MacBook Pro. Nothing to really write home about personally, but I don't know. What about you, Duncan?
Well, I mean, I think it's quite difficult to make laptops sexy in the first place,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Apple, love them or hate them, has managed to do that. And the fact that they're releasing this 13-incher, which is a bit cheaper than other models, I think that's a positive step from the company. I'm not sure whether that justifies Laptop of the Year, but it's not a bad laptop by any stretch of the imagination. There just hasn't been an awful lot of competition in other categories. But yeah, in terms of the other categories, I think it was great that Spotify won. I think Windows 7 deserved that just as much, but there can only be one victor, and Spotify pretty much has revolutionized the way people listen to music in a way that a lot of people say that nothing has since Napster. So I think they really deserve to be commended on that accomplishment.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I think Spotify, I'm really, their US business model is probably not going to be the same way it is in the UK, which sucks for me, but whatever.
I asked them about that, and they wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm figuring it's just going to be some sort of nightmare just because there's no way the US based record industry is going to, let things actually work the way they should. So we'll leave it there anyway. The last thing we're talking about is Nokia. Now, of course, Nokia is a lot bigger in Europe than they are in the US, mainly because they don't typically subsidize any of their higher end handsets in the US, so that leads to them not really getting a lot of usage. However, overseas, Nokia is sort of I don't know. I guess they're a status symbol of sorts. I don't know if that's a correct way of saying that, but you guys can let me know. Regardless, they're closing their Regent Street store, which is one of their flagship stores. They've got a couple of them around. There's one in New York. There's a bunch overseas. Dan, what's going on with this store closure specifically? I mean, and I guess correct me. How do people actually see Nokia in the UK?
Well, the thing is, I mean, they used to be up until about 5 years ago. They were definitely, as long as you got on with their operating system or the way of doing things, which most people did, they were probably just about the best phone brand out there. Not necessarily premium, but just really, really solid. People wanted them. Then they got slightly less sexy as people surpassed them in terms of technology with high resolution cameras and things like that. But then more recently, what's really killed them is the fact they've been massively surpassed in the smartphone market. They're just not what they did have at the top of the market, they just don't anymore. And really, it's a very mid-level to budget phone now, the Nokia. Or if you're going to spend that kind of money on one of their higher phones, you'd buy something better. You'd buy an iPhone, you'd buy something on Android. And really, I think Nokia now are looking at their market in the developing world, because that's really where they control things at the moment. They're still, as far as I know, the biggest mobile phone manufacturer out there. They've got such a huge market everywhere else, but they seem to be losing Europe. I think that's what this is all about.
Well, I guess they're using Europe. They've already lost America. I mean, they're closing the store, Duncan. Is it more indicative of Nokia market pressures, or is it that high London rent?
I think it's a little bit of both. They're keeping their stores. They've got a bunch of other stores in the rest of the UK that they're keeping open for the time being. So I think the high London rent and the impact of the recession on that is probably not helping them. At the same time, though, it is very indicative of exactly all the things that Dan said. They can't compete in the smartphone market at the moment. They're having real trouble doing that. And until they either utterly gut and revamp Symbian, or decide to start producing phones with Android on, I think they're really going to have difficulty.
It'll be interesting to see where it ends up going. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Dan Sung from Pocket-Lint, thanks for coming on the program. Also Duncan Geere, who wrote that last story, actually, from Pocket-Lint as well. I'm Randall Bennett, and don't forget, you can catch us on iTunes or on YouTube. We're over at Pocket-Lint.com, we're over at TechV.com. We're essentially everywhere, so get your show notes where you desire. See you later.